you do your bit.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us today in this webinar where we'll talk about discounted and waived APCs from Sage. So we've got Rebecca Evans on the line, another Rebecca Evans, different Rebecca Evans to the one from Taylor and Francis. Just
Hi
to confuse
everyone.
So as a couple of weeks ago, I'll do a quick introduction and talk about the offer, but first of all, just a couple of housekeeping things. We're recording this webinar and we'll put the link on our website and share the slides, so you don't need to take loads of notes, and feel free to send the recording to your colleagues if they want to watch it at another time. That's no problem. And there's a chat box. If you have any questions, I will keep an eye on the chat box, and we'll stop. We have lots of time for questions at the end, but also if you have a question during the webinar, feel free to just add your question in there, and we'll try and answer it as soon as possible. And yeah, that's it. I'll get started. So if I manage to, so this is the overview of what we're going to cover. I'll just give a little bit of context in case there's people on the line that are not familiar with the whole thing. So just go over what APCs are and so on. Then we'll look at the Sage offer in detail. And then we'll focus on how to find the journals that are included in the offer, and also how to find the exact cost of the APC to be paid by those authors that qualify for a discount. And then I'll hand over to Rebecca, who will show us in detail how it works when you submit to a journal for publication and where you need to put in the discount code. So we've got screenshots on that. So we'll walk you through the process. And then we've got, like I said, lots of time for questions at the end. So just to give you a bit of overview, the EIFL licensing program, we've been negotiating agreements with publishers and service providers on behalf of the EIFL member consortia. And to support the global move to open access, and to help speed up the transition to open access, we've now started to negotiate agreements that include an element of open access, as we say, which is discounted and waived article processing charges for authors from EIFL countries. So we have two agreements like that. One is the Sage agreement that we'll cover in detail, and the other one is with Taylor and Francis. So I've put the URLs up there, and you get taken straight to the page on our website that has more information on that. And with Taylor and Francis, we had a similar webinar, so you should find that on that page as well if you're interested. So in case you're not familiar, probably most people on the call are familiar, but we always still get a lot of questions. What are article processing charges? So this is the fee that an author pays in order to have the article published in open access. So it covers the cost of article publication. So it covers things like the peer review running system, copy editing, typesetting, hosting the article on the servers, marketing. There's probably other things in here that I've forgotten, right, Rebecca? But basically the whole work that publishers put into making the article available. And this article processing charge is paid after an article has been peer reviewed and accepted for publication. So it's separate from whoever makes a decision about an article and whether it gets published or not. So it has nothing to do with the getting published part as such. Because again, I've been getting some questions on that, and people saying that, oh, if I pay for it, then it means I get accepted more easily. So it's, publishing companies is handled by completely different people that make the decision about whether your article gets published or when and how you pay the APC. So it's completely different people. And also want to just reiterate that open access versus closed access, because I still get questions from people about this. So if an author publishes an article in a subscription in a closed access journal, they don't pay an article processing charge. However, only those with a subscription to the content can read the article. So the library would have to pay to get access to the content. And if an author publishes an article in an open access journal, either fully open access or within a hybrid journal, they usually have to pay an article processing charge. Although I put a note to say some journals don't charge article processing charges, and the advantage is that everyone can read the article. So if there is a case that someone comes up to you and says you don't need to pay for article processing charges to publish in our journals, most likely they will mean subscription journals, which then not everyone can access. Although, like I said, in some cases, open access journals are free to publish in as well. And the clear advantage of publishing in open access is that anyone from around the world can read the published article. There's no subscription cost for libraries, but also for the researcher themselves. It's greater exposure, higher usage of open access content, more downloads of the article, more citations, and more impact. So there's some studies that are being done on this now that show how open access journals reach more people, but also have a greater impact for the researcher themselves, which is kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If it's open, more people will read it. So who pays the article processing charge? So generally it's paid by research funders through research grants. So the researchers can decide that they spend part of their funding on the charges. Sometimes it's also authors paying it out of their pocket. And in some cases, institutions give researchers some funding towards that they can use on behalf of the institution's money. So within this transition to open access, more and more libraries are taking charge of the APC spend in these discussions with publishers and try and track it as well, which is quite difficult. I think a lot of libraries and consortia are struggling with doing that. So it's always, interesting if you talk to people in your area to find out who's paying the article processing charge and if it can be tracked. So just a quick overview on the offer from Sage. You've probably seen the emails or looked at the website, but just want to go over this again. So there's two parts of it. The first part is countries that qualify for an APC waiver. This means there's no article processing charge, and this applies to authors from Botswana, Cambodia, Congo, Ethiopia, Fiji, Georgia, Ghana, and the rest of these countries. I won't read them all out. And the main thing to remember with this part is that there's a condition, and it says that all the authors need to be from these countries or from one of these countries. Presumably, if there's collaboration between these countries, that would still qualify. So the important thing is that it's not just a corresponding author that needs to be from one of these countries, but all collaborating authors, all authors collaborating on the article. So that's one of the restrictions. Is a bit different to the other offer, but just to bear in mind that that's the case. So in that case, there's no article processing charge to be paid. And the other part is corresponding authors from Azerbaijan, Belarus, Estonia, Kosovo, Latvia, Lithuania, Macedonia, Moldova, Palestine, Serbia, Slovenia, and Ukraine qualify for 20% discount. But again, the condition on this is that the discount is available to corresponding authors only from institutions that have a current subscription to the Sage journals. So the ones that I've marked with a star, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Palestine, Serbia, and Slovenia, are the ones that I'm aware that there is an existing subscription. So again, the author needs to be affiliated with an institution that has an active subscription. And the other note on this is that the discount can be combined with other discounts, such as society discount and promotional discount. So the highest discount will apply, and we'll show some examples of that later as well. So also just to clarify, what does corresponding author mean in case you're not familiar with the term? So this is the main contact if there is more than one author collaborating on an article. So it's the person that would receive email updates about the article's process during the peer review, and also the author who will receive the peer review decision. Basically, the person who receives all the correspondence from the publisher on behalf of all the other authors. So I want to jump in and show you quickly the website where we have put all the information about this offer. So I've not actually opened that. So if you go to the EIFL website, so I'll take you through the process of where you can find it. If you go through the EIFL website and you go look at the EIFL license resources, we now have a new type, which is APC for OA publishing in our licensed e-resources search, although it's not an e-resource as such, but it's the best way. I'm going to redesign some of this, but it's the best place to put the information now. So this is the Taylor and Francis offer, and then here you've got the Sage one. So you've got a quick overview about the offer, the terms and conditions that we just talked about, 2 different groups, the waiver group, the discount group, how it works, and that's what we'll talk through in detail as well, how you know the exact cost and how you can find a journal. So that's what I will show you just now. So how do you find the journals that are included in the offer? So we've created this Google spreadsheet which you can download and share, but I've decided to put it on a kind of Google, so it's always up to date, so we know you find the latest version here, so it's easier to direct people there. And there's information about the subject area as well, which I think is quite interesting. So you can, I know there's like a few that we're still missing, but most of them have subject classification. So if someone comes up to you and says, I want to publish in the journal on engineering, you quite quickly can find what's relevant, and they can look through and see what's of interest to them. And then again, there's like sub-disciplines within that, so you could look at that, and then they know, for example, they're looking at mechanical engineering or material science, so they could quickly find the relevant journals, and you could suggest those journals to them. What we plan to have in future as well is one spreadsheet that covers different publishers' content. So we don't not at the moment there's a separate list for the Taylor and Francis and the Sage offer. But in future, I'd like to combine those so you can search quite easily and see, okay, there's those journals from that publisher in one place. But this is the best place to just search it. You also have information about impact factor. And then you have the link to the journal website. So that's where, because on this spreadsheet here, we didn't put any information about the APC list price, because Sage was worried that there'd be too many versions with too many different prices floating around the internet, understandably. So we just put a note here saying, please check the journal website, column G. So if I go to the journal website, the place to check the APC is under, if you click on submit journal, and then, oh, no, I can't find it. Is this one with the 0? Nope, what have I done? And it should be listed here. Here we go.
Just so you know, your screen sharing has stopped, by the way.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean that. Thanks.
That's okay.
Right. Okay. Am I sharing again? I was looking for the APC on this journals page, but I've picked a bad example, haven't I? Because it should be under submit paper. And there is on this one, article processing charge. So there you list, you have the list price. So in this case, the introductory charge is $600 and the full rate is $1,200. So in this case, you wouldn't apply the EIFL discount because the promotional discount is higher. So you just pay the $600. Obviously, if you're in the group that gets a waived APC, then that's not relevant. I'll try another one. Just so if there's any, yeah, here we go again. That's quite at the start. Article processing charge. So it's 2,100. So then you would calculate your 20% discount off that. And I think that's everything I was going to cover. So I'll hand you over to Rebecca, who will show us where you enter the discount code and how you can claim that.
Lovely, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So let me just go and share my screen and come into my slide deck. And can you see my slides now okay? So hi everyone, and thank you Romy for a great introduction and for having me along today to talk about the Sage offer, and also for a great overview and introduction to open access and the benefits of that, and how article processing charges work. So that's great, and I'm hoping now that I can show you the details of what the process actually looks like for your researchers who may be eligible for a discount or for a waiver. So we'll go through those details. As Romy mentioned, we have plenty of screenshots so you can really see exactly what that looks like. We also, as well as sharing these slides after the webinar, we also have put together a PDF document that you can share and promote to your researchers. Again, that contains lots of screenshots with detailed instructions so your researchers can work their way through the process. So as Romy has said, whether you're getting a discount or a waiver, depending on what your researchers are eligible for, then one thing that you need to be aware of is that all authors will be taken to what we call a payment page or a checkout page. And that will happen once your article has been accepted. Then you will, the corresponding author will receive an email, and within that email that says, congratulations, we have accepted your article, there will be a URL that takes them through to that payment page. So it's all very straightforward and easy to follow. And then of course there are going to be two possibilities or two pathways for the people here today and for your researchers. The first of those is if you're from one of the eligible discount countries. So if you're eligible for a discount, you would click on the link in the email. That would take you through to the checkout page where there is a box to enter your promotional code. The code is EIFL OA, and again, that's written on the nice web page that Romy has set up for you. And then you will carry on the checkout process and complete that. Now, if you're eligible for a waiver, the waiver will be applied automatically. So when you reach the checkout page or the payment page, the price shown will be $0, but you still need to complete the checkout, but you're just completing it on a zero-sum page. But it's just because the act of completing the checkout is also where the author is accepting the journal terms and conditions. So they do need to complete that process even though there is no money to pay. So that's a very quick overview of kind of the workflow. We're going to look at each of these kind of pathways individually now. But one thing I will say, if throughout any of these steps or the process, you or one of your researchers has any issues applying the discount or the waiver, we do have a dedicated email address. I've listed that there. It's also on the page on the EIFL website under the Sage offer. So please don't hesitate to contact us. I mean, it's not my team, but the people who look after the open access publishing will be very happy to answer any of your queries. So just pop an email to apcqueries@sagepub.com if you're having any problems, and they'll be more than happy to help you. So let's have a look at the discount process first. So if you're one of those, or you have authors who are eligible for the 20% discount, the process would be, upon acceptance, the author would look out again for that email, which will be an automated email, and it will contain the URL where they can go and process the transaction. And this is the kind of page that they will be taken to. So if we just have a look at the top there, you have the logo of the journal itself. So this one is Therapeutic Advances in Neurological Disorders. You have lots of information that you would, as the author, you would already have submitted, like your name, if you have an ORCID ID, any kind of publication date, and the title of your article that you're publishing. And then you see this this page, charges estimate, where you can see in this particular case, the open access charge or the article processing charge is $14.80. And then you have the apply discounts button just down here. So you'll see where the green arrow is. What you would do is click apply discounts. And this will take you to this page, or it will expand this section on the page, and you have a couple of options. Now, the first one is the country discount. You want to skip that. You want to head straight to the promotion campaign discount, and where you'll see this promotional code box is where you would enter your promotional code, so EIFL OA. And when you click then enter and apply discounts, that's going to calculate the 20% off of the full APC list price that would have been listed on the journal homepage that the author is submitting to. And then, now this is a different journal, but it's exactly the same process. It's just one step later. You'll see that there has been a discount applied. So where the APC was originally £740, it says here discounts applied £148, which brings us to a new total of £592 to pay by the author. So they've received their 20% discount, having gone through that very simple discount code process. And then when you've gone through that and you're happy that the discount has been applied correctly, when you're ready, you can click on the payment options button just at the bottom right there, ready to move on. Now, if at this stage, let's say you have put in the discount code, or one of your authors puts in the discount code and it doesn't work, let's say it hasn't applied a discount, or maybe the discount for some reason doesn't seem to be the right amount, that's the point at which you should send the email to apcqueries@sagepub.com. So don't worry, just don't complete the checkout process. Send that email to the Sage team and let them see what's happening, because they have access to the kind of administrator area. They can see what might be happening, where the confusion is, rather than you completing the checkout process and finding out later on that there was something wrong and we could have fixed it earlier. So if in doubt, always send an email before you complete the process. Now, as Romy said, one condition of this discount with Sage is that the 20% discount that EIFL authors are eligible for cannot be combined with other discounts. Romy showed us a great example there where there was a journal where the full APC price is usually $1,200, but there was an introductory period of $600, so a flat rate of half price essentially. Now that is a great example of where you couldn't combine your EIFL discount. So you would be better off using the introductory rate of the $600 and not applying your EIFL discount, because you are going to get a bigger discount overall by going with the introductory rate than applying your 20% discount to the full list price. So for your researchers, I definitely think one of the big things we need to help them with is making sure they know what the best option is where there might be additional discounts. So always make sure you tell your researchers if there are additional discounts and it's higher, then definitely use the higher one, because you are eligible for the highest discount possible, even if that happens to be not the EIFL one that we have agreed. So Romy managed to pick a great journal to really illustrate that point. I've taken another couple of screenshots from the same kind of journal pages where you can see all the different kind of APCs. So here it says that the article processing charge is just $275 per page. So you'd need to figure out as a researcher how many pages of your article will the publisher be publishing, and you can use that to calculate the full APC cost. Another one here where we're talking about the article processing charge, which is a flat rate of $750 as a flat rate, and another example here where it actually says there will be no article processing charges associated with this journal for an introductory period. So where Romy was going through that process of looking at the spreadsheet, going to the journal homepage and then clicking on submit paper, the information that you will read, it's not consistent across every journal. I mean, Sage publishes over 1,000 journals in total, so every journal kind of publishes its submission guidelines and information in different ways. But if you just do a quick find on page and look for APC, it should speed up the process of finding the information. But it's really crucial that you do, and as a researcher, you go and make sure of the conditions of that APC. You know, is it per page, in which case you're going to need to multiply? Is it a flat rate? Maybe there isn't an APC, in which case that's awesome. So definitely something to just keep an eye on when you've identified the journal you'd like to publish in. Go and find those submission guidelines and see what the APC is. And from there, if you need to, if there is an amount to pay, you can calculate your 20% discount from that amount that you have identified. So for waived APCs, very similar process. Again, once you as a researcher have found out your paper has been accepted for publication, you'll get your email, which will contain a URL, and it will be exactly the same URL as if you were going for a discount. It's basically just the payment system that we use to transact our APCs. And if the criteria have been met, which as Romy told us, every author needs to be from one of the waiver eligible countries. They don't all need to be from the same one. So you could be from one from Kenya and one from Moldova, I think are two countries from the waiver process. So if you've got two authors, at least for both from one of the eligible countries, then you're good to go and the waiver will be applied. Now, what will happen, you'll click on that URL within the email and you will get taken to a page which shows that that basically a discount has been applied, but it has waived the total article processing charge. So we have a nice example here. Where so the article processing charge was $2,000 and then a discount has been applied for $2,000, and so the total therefore to pay is $0, and nothing has the author has had to do nothing here. So we haven't had to apply a discount like we did in the discounts process. This will appear as soon as you as a waiver author arrive in the transaction page. So once you are happy that the waiver has been applied correctly and that you are seeing zero cost to your transaction, you can click on next and proceed through the accepting the terms and conditions. So you're essentially transacting on a zero fee total, so nothing to worry about there. And once you've gone through that process, you'll receive a confirmation email with an invoice, but it will say $0 or £0. Now, one thing to be aware of with the waiver, most of the time it should be automatic. You should arrive into the transaction page and it will already be done for you. Sometimes that isn't able to happen. And one example where that might happen is if one of the authors for this paper, maybe they have a dual affiliation. They might be affiliated with two different institutions, and one of those institutions might be not an eligible country, and we might have because we have to use automated systems, they might be reading the incorrect affiliation and the system isn't clever enough or sophisticated enough to check the second affiliation. So you might arrive into the transaction page and the waiver has not unfortunately been applied. But again, don't worry, all you need to do, if you believe that you're eligible for a waiver but the system hasn't applied it, don't check out, abandon that process for now. Send an email to that email address, apcqueries@sagepub.com. They'll be able to go in and manually check it out, make sure that you are indeed from an eligible institution, that all of your authors are from an eligible institution, and from there they will fix it. And then when you go back to the transaction page, ready to transact that, the waiver will be applied. Most of the time, the waiver will be applied automatically, but just for you to be aware, there are some instances where it might not be, but that's not because you are not eligible, it's just because of a little technical hiccup in the background. So if you're unsure but you think you're eligible, always email us and let us investigate for you rather than checking out and then trying to rectify it later on. So that was everything that I wanted to share and to show you. I hope that that's been useful, and I guess we're happy to turn over for questions and see if we can give some answers for people.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, so if there's any questions, please can you put them in the chat box. I've opened, there's nothing on the Q&A. Or if there's anything you'd like us to show you again or go over, we have lots of time. Or if there's any comments or concerns, let us know.
Anything at all.
One question I had for you, Rebecca, with the countries that qualify for a discount, one of the conditions is that the institution needs to have an active subscription. I guess someone verifies that. Once you put the code in, someone will see that and then look up and check their affiliation and check whether they have a subscription and so on. And if there's a problem, they'll get in touch. So it could be an issue there with incorrect affiliation as well, but there'll be some email exchange.
Exactly. I guess how that works, again, I'm not within the team that works with the systems, but from how I understand it, the system that we use to verify discount codes and waivers, etc., is going to be connected up with all the, I guess, the sales information that we have. So we can verify based on someone's affiliation, yes, they're coming from an institution that does have an active subscription, and that's how we know that we can apply the discount correctly. And that's why it's always best, if you are in doubt whether you are a researcher eligible for a waiver or a discount, if it's not working how you think it should, always just pop an email, because sometimes these automated systems are going to be reading the wrong information, and it's always best if you send that email, you're going to be dealing directly with a person. They can go in and check all of that information and verify it.
Yes, let me show that page again to finish. So here we have, I've updated that on the how does it work for both the waived and the discounted, and said, if there's any problems, there's this email address for both of them. So this page does explain everything, but obviously it's just in writing, and sometimes it's good to see the screenshots. So we'll, under further information, I'll add the slides from today as well as the link to the recording. So if you
we've got that PDF document as well, which is a guide, and they can share that, or you can share that with any of your researchers and put it on your websites and things like that.
So is there any questions? Any someone's raised their hand. Sorry, I've just seen that. 2 people have raised their hand. Okay. I don't know if I can allow you to talk. Marcus Paluku. Hello? Unmute. Hello? Usually we take questions in writing because we've not checked whether different people can different people have I don't think you can talk because there's something set in the system that attendees can't talk. So if you could write your questions in the chat box, there's a Zoom webinar chat at the bottom right that everyone should be able to see. That would be the best way. That would be the best way, I think.
Question.
Yeah, we've got really bad echo.
Bad.
Sorry, I can't. Please, can you write your question in writing in the Zoom webinar chat, and we'll answer it. We didn't test with everyone to see what the audio is like, and tried there, but there was a really bad echo. I'll put my email address here as well. I mean, it was at the end on that last slide, but if you have any questions that you want to put in writing an email, because for whatever reason you couldn't think of it just now, you're welcome to do that. And right, I can't see questions from anyone else, so I think we'll probably just wrap up. But thanks everyone for attending. Thanks to you, Rebecca. for going over this, and we might well get in touch if there are other questions coming up later.
Of course.
We're probably all so overwhelmed, but it seems quite straightforward, to be honest. So we'll hope that everyone promotes that title list, and like I said, I will try and create something that covers the different offers, and possibly have like a drop down for each country, so you can search and see what offers are applicable to your researchers and what the conditions are. So think of a way to share that and make it easy to use. Okay. So we have a question there from Gerkes. I'm sorry, Gerkes, I don't know which country you're from, but there was obviously there was pricing, like a waived article processing charges. So no, I can't hear you. So really bad. Okay, well, please drop me an email with your questions, and I think we'll call it a day. Thanks again, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.